Hi, I'm Stacy.
And I am Mark, and this is the Gurus and Game Changers podcast. Welcome, Gurus and Game Changers. You know, it's not every day that we do a long introduction of a guest, but today's guest is a little bit different. Today's guest is legitimately a world-renowned game changer. Somebody who stepped into an industry and changed it fundamentally. Today's guest is Emme. Emme, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very, very much for having me on, you two. This is so exciting.
Yeah. So look, I'm going to give a good introduction of you, right? Because there's so much more. People know her as an icon, of course, but there's so much more to know. And I wrote a whole lot down here so I don't miss a lot. There's a lot, and I won't even get to all of it. But we know, right? You're a TEDx speaker. You're a TV personality. She's been on every show that you could think of and every network you can think of. She's been in every magazine that you can think of. She has written 5 books. You probably didn't know that. She created 3 clothing lines. You may not know that. She, on top of all of that, she's a trailblazer for women's empowerment. She started the True Beauty Foundation for young women's mental health, right? She has been an advocate for the longest time, for decades, for body positivity, inclusion in the fashion industry. I mean, these words are thrown around now, right, the last 2 years.
Yeah. It's
on her shoulders.
I know
that all these people are standing. She was the standard bearer. She broke the ground. And that's why she's a game changer. And I got to ask you, aren't you just exhausted?
Well, she's a mother too. She's a mom too.
And a mom on top of it all. Holy moly.
I am not tired.
You're not tired.
I'm not tired thank you for this wonderful introduction. And I'm not tired. I always think that my job is not done. Really. Wow. I don't know where that comes from. But I do believe a part of that comes from my mom passing over at a very young age and seeing how finite life can be. And I love life. I really get in it and I get all going. So when I see something that I can impart some ideas or help out or whatever it might be, I kind of roll up my sleeves and say, what could be an interesting solution for this? Or how can this be improved? I'm always thinking that way.
And you've always had a confidence, right? The confidence that you roll up your sleeves and you're probably going to attack it.
Well, I think being an athlete, the base of my life, being an athlete, training incessantly for that race or 6 races or whatever. Being a rower, you have a lot of time, getting a lot of blisters. And but you just, as a team, you would work hard at honing in and defining your skill and getting your times lower and lower. And not all the time would you win, but boy, did it feel good when you did win. So I think that being an athlete and not giving up has always been a part of my zeitgeist, my oomph.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. And we've discussed that too. I mean, being an athlete is so huge. I know you actually rode for Syracuse, right? So
I did.
That was amazing. And I think, didn't you just make it into like the Hall of Fame there or some sort of like a huge accolade for your rowing at Syracuse? And I don't think you talk about it much in your interviews. So I think that's fantastic.
Thank you. That was a couple of years back. And I love going back to Syracuse. And Syracuse, Mark, you had just mentioned about the foundation. Syracuse was an early adopter of the inclusive fashion program that we have called Fashion Without Limits. And the 2 professors in the visual and performing arts program were like, why didn't we think of this? So for 8 years, we're going in our 9th year. So kudos to Syracuse University for embracing an out of the box idea that really is going to make a big impact within the fashion industry. That's amazing.
And that's the Fashion Without Limits is having new young designers design more inclusive sizes in all of their new designs, right?
Correct. We give away the Goddess Award, which is made by a beautiful by the Corning museum artisans. It's this beautiful goddess, and the winner of the Fashion Without Limits program, sometimes we're able to get internships with sponsors. And this year we were working with Full Beauty Brands and the One Stop Plus group. So they gave Nina Chen, who won this year, an opportunity to see her garment go through the whole production process, a limited run. This is before she's even graduated.
Wow.
And she can see
good for her
what it takes to create and put it through the process. And then,
fantastic.
Yeah, it's a wonderful program. And so yes, now I could wear the winning design on the red carpet, or I've told them, and I've done that in the past, so they get tears out of WWD or whatever magazine. But I've also told the winners that they don't have to choose me, and that there's other beautiful models that they can choose to. And if the model accepts the challenge to wear their garment, they would. But there's one or two that I'm looking at right now that I'm like, I want a red carpet to wear this beautiful outfit. And it's just very sexy.
Yeah,
I love seeing students think out of the box. So
that is awesome. And I don't know if you'll let me, Mark, I really want to roll it back, because I love to find out how people like you are formed at your age, right? I mean, how do someone become Emme, right? And I feel like other people, get things out of that too. Our listeners will get that out of it too. But I mean, I read your letter to your teen self from 2017. And I was like, wow, that's why I told you before we started, like, I feel like we grew up together. And I relate to this so much, because I too spent time on my bed, laying down, trying to zip up my Calvins as a curvier girl.
With no stretch. Remember, everyone, we have no stretch in our jeans.
Yeah, we would lay there and we would just
remember how crazy we felt.
Oh my God,
so crazy.
I would hop up, I would jump in them, all the things, and I would
yes.
Still, then when I looked at myself, I'm like, I don't look like the women,
like Brooke Shields.
I don't look like Cindy Crawford. I don't look like Brooke Shields. I don't look like those women. So I understand that. And my father, I think you had said somewhere where your mother and your father it was like a dietary home. Like there was regulations there. And I had the same thing. Like my dad was an athlete. He was very strict about like all the things, food related and weight related, and a lot of rewards happen that way. My mom was a petite model in her teens, so she was really tiny, and I was like kind of tall and gangly and chubby as a little girl. But I kind of want to know, like, where'd you grow up? What were your parents like? And did you have siblings, or were you an only child?
Oh, I was an only child till my brother Chip got born in 70. And I grew up in Manhattan, and my mom was a single mom. She divorced my father very early on when I was 1 or something like that. And I had an enormous amount of energy coming into this world. My poor mother, who was not athletic, who was so afraid that I was going to run out of the brownstone in Manhattan and jump into the street, which I would never have done. I might have gone right to the edge for effect. But she put me on a you see kids with a harness.
Yes.
She put you on a leash.
You had a harness?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Live to tell about it.
And then once we got to Central Park, I knew every single Alice in Wonderland, Delacourt, beautiful brass structure. I knew every nook and cranny. I knew all the trees that I could jump up and swing. And my mother would just be like, oh my dear God. She told me when I was 5 years old that I couldn't have a two-wheel, a big girl bike, Schwinn, a red Schwinn. I wanted a red Schwinn so bad because I saw somebody drive it.
Yeah.
So I went to where the boats are, little boat, the electric boats where you just put the boats.
Yeah.
And I remember running away from my mom because I saw a girl a little older than me riding a two-wheeler, and I took her by the nape of the neck and took her off her bike.
At what age?
Jumped on it. Five, literally. Like,
there's a statute of limitations run out here because
I was precocious. It was horrible. And the poor girl is crying, and I'm like, look.
You jumped on the bike?
You got your bike.
I got up and I was wibbly wobbly, but I started going faster, and the parents were running after. I didn't care. I wanted my mom to know.
Wow.
I could do it. So at an early age,
Yeah.
I was pretty impossible to deal with, my literally. So once I got something in my mind, you're
unstoppable.
tenacious.
Yeah.
I think it was
tenacity.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Something was in there way back then. So that little story
about it.
Yeah.
kind of, and this is, you guys might not, I think you're the first one that I've shared this with, but
Yay.
I think that kind of go for itness helped me being an athlete, and also helped me when there are certain challenges as a reporter, coming into the fashion industry. And my mind was going into, let me see how I can see two sides of the story. And then when I figured out that there was no two sides of the story, I went all the way over and I said, thank you very much for the training with being a broadcast journalist.
Mm-hmm.
I crossed the line to become an advocate because I was in the right place at the right time in the fashion industry in the 90s, early 90s, to kind of see everything from the ground up. And the reporting started to happen when I was just sharing the books that you had mentioned, going on the road with different clothing lines, and then hearing what women and men were talking about around fashion, around how they felt. And the more that I was out there doing appearances and doing live stuff, I was like, wow, there's something going on that's not really being spoken about.
Right.
That's where I was not only talking about my own thoughts and feelings. I started doing research to bring in data and then reflect what was being talked about in experiential discussions about what people are going through. And it was all different age groups. It was all different socioeconomic groups. But there was a common theme of being disconnected from one's body as being this incredible vehicle. And that was where it all started to kind of happen.
So you're an advocate before you were a model. You were an advocate for this before you were a model, or while you were
I think the modeling, just
tipped it over the scale.
I was a journalist.
Yeah.
I already been a reporter on air, for
right.
an NBC affiliate in Arizona. I had already come from a family, and in culture, just, you're not good enough. You're not this enough. You're not. I go, if I had, if I put butt implants in 1 month, I would have to take them out the next month. If I didn't have enough boobs, I would have to put them in and then take them out. I said, forget it. No, I don't want to play this game as a human.
So you just bucked your parental sort of like, what would you call that? Sort of like the ropes and the rules around you. And then you kind of went the other way.
Yeah, I just was like, I like food too much. I like enjoying breaking bread with friends and celebrating and listening. And when it's hard times, breaking bread too, and just hunkering down. And I don't have friends that look like me. I don't look like my friends. And my God, it would be boring as hell.
Yeah.
Absolutely boring if I didn't have a whole array of beauty, like a bouquet of beauty or a bouquet of individuals from all different backgrounds.
Right.
My life is rich because, we're different.
Yeah. But was there something that happened while you were a journalist, or it woke up to a realization, and because you did this kiss it goodbye motion, like I'm done and now I'm moving on to here?
So it's interesting. I couldn't sleep at night when I was reporting. And this is small town Flagstaff, Arizona. This was tiny compared to LA, New York, even Chicago or Dallas, bigger markets. But I was having a hard time with small, no, this is not small. When, a burning house, kids are affected. My news director's like, go talk to the mom and get news, go get that story. And if someone dies, that's, go find. And that I wasn't made to get that death and destruction. And I have friends who are major journalists in the major markets. And I'm like always saying, how you doing?
Right.
How are you handling this at CNN? Especially whenever I go there, I'm always saying, how's everyone doing? Because to take in the news on a daily basis, it's tough. But when I was in Arizona, I remember that in the 80s, right, we had shoulder pads.
Oh yeah.
I was a swimmer and a rower and an athlete already. So whenever I would be on air and we had to wear a blazer, we had to have certain, I never really got a big chance to be anchoring. I did my bit where I was on the anchor desk, but never anchoring because my shoulders were wider than the male anchor shoulders.
Which is why you're such a good rower.
I love it.
Right?
Oh my gosh. I still swim to this day, and I will never give up swimming or being an athlete, but I laughed so hard because the female co-anchor was petite, very small. So there was this pairing, and I go, oh, it's not based on experience anyway. I'm just going to go to New York and work as a marketing director for a real estate firm. And
oh, really?
yeah,
so that was the next step, the real estate
that was
firm?
my next step. And
then you're on a plane, right? And then you saw something. You said,
I
fell into modeling on a whim after seeing an article and decided to walk over to the agency on my lunch hour. Mm-hmm. And they signed me on the spot. And I'm like, seriously? Like crazy. Who or what, like in that moment gave you the confidence, just be like, you know what? I'm going to be a model. That's what I'm going to do. Like,
I was looking for marketing for this temporary office space, and I was thinking of ways to market. And I thought, well, where do traveling business people go? And they're on planes, and then there they are right in front. So I started looking through, a magazine, and then I bumped into this one particular time. I think things happen for a reason. Mm-hmm. And I saw an article on full-figured modeling. And my girlfriend's brother was dating a full-figured model when we were first talking in New York. When I came back, I'd go, what the heck is that? And she goes, Emme, you should really try and do it. I said, never want to be a model. Come on. I've been asked because I was tall, but I was always told I need to lose like 60 or 70 pounds, And I said, there's no way. There's no way. I was a 12 and I would have to go down to there's no way. Right. And then when I saw this article, I was a marketing director, and I thought, let me just go on my lunch hour. Who knows what can happen?
I love this so much.
And it's like the bottled glass when you see detective stories from the 40s, the wooden door with the bottle glass. And it was modeling agency name. And I knock, no one's there. It's lunchtime. I go, oh, duh, everyone's away from it. And I hear, hold on 1 minute. And she comes, I walk out, and she looks me up and down. She goes, don't move. And I'm thinking, how weird is that? Wow. And she goes, you should really work with us. And I worked with them for about 6 months. And then I leapt over to Ford Models, and the rest was really history.
Holy cow.
And
what do you mean you just leapt over to Ford Models? Like, who just leaps over to Ford Models?
Well, I wasn't getting my full pay with the smaller agency. I was looking for opportunities to go over to Ford because they had a great department for the inclusive models, the fuller models. And when I said I'd like to come, they were like, oh, we'd love to have you. So it was perfect. Just perfect.
Ah, that's amazing.
So when you're doing this, right, you work for 6 months for the one agency, you jump over to the agency right at the time.
Yeah.
You don't strike me as somebody that lets their insecurities stop them, right? Or you wouldn't be who you are today if you let your insecurities stop you. But how do you manage that? And we all have them.
Oh, Mark.
No matter how polished you look on the outside.
Oh.
Let me tell you. So the things that we've seen happen for me, and the beautiful things you were talking about, so many also because I maybe had imposter syndrome, or I thought another opportunity was going to come, and oh no, that's not right for me. I had an opportunity to work either in Flagstaff or in Mississippi or with Bob Hope up in Palm Springs, and working for all the TV work. And I chose the harder route. I could have taken an easier route and just gone into the system and did that. But a lot of my page friends, I was a page at NBC, when we were all getting our first jobs, they were like, why aren't you going with Bob Hope? I said, well, let me go a little bit more over here. Now, I look back and I said, my career could have been a very different thing, but I wanted to work with the Native American people and learn more about Hopi and Navajo. And at that time, my family had told me that I had background in Native culture here. And now Ancestry.com nixed that completely. I'm not German or Polish. I'm definitely Swedish, which I had no clue about.
No Native American.
My dad told me that too, that we were Native American our whole life. We did 23andMe. We have zero Native heritage in us, but we have some Swedish.
I was so bummed.
when you went to one of your first shoots, you talk about how the photographers treated you, and they, in comparison, I guess, to the tiny waif models, they had issues. And, even like one of them, I think you said, called you fatty, which like was the thing my sister and I called each other like every day. We wanted to get under our skins. And yet, so you were able to just deal with that in the moment. I know this is kind of bouncing off your question of insecurities, but my question is like, how did you stay there? Like, I think I would have just been like, okay, that's it. I mean, I don't think I would have had the resilience that you had.
Exactly. It's a resilience.
So the thing is this, at the very beginning, when I started working, I noticed how stylists would kind of tug a little bit too hard on garments, or they wouldn't have your real actual size because the client didn't provide a size 12 or a 14 for the models. They would provide an 8 or a 10. Photographers would, not be as excited when you would walk in, but the girls that were working and on covers of magazines and doing that kind of thing, there would be much more of a kindred spirit, kind of like, girl, you doing it, you're doing it. And you notice this. And plus I started in the modeling industry when I was 27. So I wasn't 18. So wow. I'm an adult looking and checking things out. And I'm like, I'm getting paid. That's all I care. I looked at it as a business. I looked at it as a business.
Wow.
And that one particular photographer, Stacy, that you were mentioning, it's a story that I share, and it's really important. So it was one of my first all-day big advertising deals, and I was so excited because he was a Harper's Bazaar, Elle, Vogue, the whole thing. He was working with everyone. I had not yet worked with this type of caliber of a photographer. So I brought Rugala to the set, and I was just so excited. So I had, hair and makeup for an hour and a half and looking fabulous. I'm sitting with my curlers in my hair, and he comes late and he slams the door. He comes in, and he's like, okay, where's the model? Now he says this while I'm sitting in the director's chair with hair and makeup on either side of me in curlers. And he looks at me, and there was silence, and he looks at me from my toes all the way up to my head and all the way down. And he goes, I'm not shooting this fatty.
Oh, Lord.
And wow. It was completely quiet. So I was really A, happy that I was older, B, that I wasn't an emotional mess, C, I swear to you, I wish many, many times over that I would have been like, dude, get down and do 20 with me, because I could have banged them out with him.
Oh, you would have killed him.
Awesome. But I was so shocked that another human being was going to say things to another human being, especially these guys work so hard and I look fabulous, right?
I'm sure you did.
No, but I knew what it, you put the way they put makeup on an everyday person, you were going to walk away looking like a model. It's amazing.
Wow. So
he turns around and walks out he stomps out and he slams the door. And I go to the phone in the bedroom. I go, I'm really going to leave now. This is ridiculous. And they go, no, stay. He has to come back. This is advertising. It's a big deal. You have to stay and wait. Well, vis-a-vis, he comes back 4 or 5 hours later and we shoot. And he goes, well, if I'm going to shoot you, I'm going to shoot you sexy. And he shoots me. Fine. 2 years later, I already have now, since this shoot, 50 of the most beautiful people for People magazine, the Grand Odalesse that shoots me around the world. I am now doing pretty big campaigns and getting paid really well. I'm leading in the industry going forward. And I'm working with a German client down in Miami. So I answer the phone, and it's for the photographer that I had not seen in 2 years and not even thought of for 2 years. And my whole body was like, bleh. And I go, hold on one moment. So I walk out and I'm thinking, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? What am I going to say? And there he is, cleaned up. He didn't look so good 2 years prior, cleaned up with 2 models. And I approach and I go, I want to let you know. And he goes, Emme? My heart stopped. And I'm thinking, there's no way that he would remember who I am. And I go, you know what? He goes, we should definitely work together. You're doing such a great job, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just saying, well, actually, you have a phone call. I just want to let you know, I want to thank you because we did work together a couple of years ago. And, because of us working together, I'm actually I stayed in the industry and I'm doing really great. So here's your phone and thank you very much, or something like that. Something crazy came. And I don't remember walking back to the luncheonette, but I sat back and I thought, bullies are so afraid of being found out. Like he might have had some kind of weird thing about women that are larger than a size 2 or 0, the models that he was working with. And there I was, a 12, 14, completely like, how do I shoot her? This is a whole new thing.
Right.
Where if he was cool with just the diversity of size and things that were happening at the time, it was so early. Change is so hard it's hard for me. It's hard for all of us to go, oh, yes, I should change. And it changes your life completely. I was representing something at the time, which I was not aware of, that I was pushing buttons. People were like, are you kidding? We're going to make larger clothes. And you mean large women have money to pay for nicer clothes that are more expensive? Yes. But no one wanted to really speak about it, but I was living through it, being the one that was projecting out there with the photographers. And it's beautiful to see how things have changed. But when I speak to young kids, I said, bully's going to say certain things to you. And if you can, put your joy armor on. Remember, if you're coming from a place of, being happy and someone comes at you and tries to take away that, they might want what you're all about. They might not understand how you could be so happy when they're not feeling so good. And I said, maybe this photographer might have been just too afraid because he had all these big clients. He didn't want anyone to find out that he was doing an advertising job for the money with a full-figured model. Who knows?
Yeah,
and at the really, does it really matter?
Right.
I did go and get my certification in massage therapy. I did take a break because I was like, there is no way anyone should be talking. And then that's when my agency was saying, and we put you into the mix for 50 most beautiful people. I thought they were lying. Weeks go by and they go, seriously, you're now at 25. They're really wanting to know, are you in this? I go, sure, why not?
Wow.
Had no idea how it was going to change my life. But when
So
I
went
walked
from
out of that shoot,
500 to 25. So there's 500 originally, and then
down to 25. And then it was 10. Then I got chosen, and I'm thinking, what is this? What's going on? But
it happened a second time too. You had two.
Yeah, 99. Exactly. 94 and 99.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And you won so many other accolades too, like a woman, most important woman in America, most fascinating woman of the year, a woman of the year by Glamour magazine, 25 most influential woman. And that's not just for your modeling. That's for all of everything that you do.
The whole thing.
I have a question. So what do you think that what drives you now, because you haven't slowed down, right? But what is driving you now different than what used to drive you?
I am motivated to more so a little deeper, a little bit more of a spiritual feel, not religious, but it's a deeper resonation of, why are you here? Why are we here? Is it only to conform? Is it only to fit in? Or is it to be our own genuine, unique selves and rock that and support the friends and the family that are in that boat of, it's in tandem with that bouquet of beauty, of accepting and honoring that everybody is beautiful and important. It's the house of our soul. So when we body bash, we self-flagellate, and we say, oh, I'm not good because I'm this, that. Well, there has to be a time when you say, how do I want to feel? And make some adjustments.
Yeah.
If you're not able to walk a flight of stairs or quickly go down and grab if you're late for a plane and you're completely dying for breath, you could be either too thin or large for your body shape. You have to ask yourself, how do I want to live in this life for the time that I have? And is it going to be like your neighbor, or is it going to be the best for you? And that's a very, very different story than perhaps where I began.
Yeah.
So fantastic. I
And with the
do want to talk.
I'm seeing we're not alone. I mean, a lot of people are just so frustrated.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Especially right now. Yeah.
Yes.
Especially right now.
Isolation. I'm always saying grab a partner and get your butt out and go and hike, swim in streams. You know,
Go rowing.
This is why I thought we could be best friends earlier when I was talking to my daughter, who I also know you have a daughter, and I kind of vibe with you on that. But you had a huge obstacle in your life when you were, I guess, 44. You were diagnosed with cancer, with Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Yes, ma'am.
Still completely positive about the whole situation. You were your own advocate. You went and told the doctors, no, there was something really wrong with me. I'm dealing with that with my mom right now.
I had to go to five.
Five different doctors.
Five.
And they did find it. And then you did go through chemo. Yep. And one of the things I loved about, I mean, that's a very difficult story. Obviously, you made it through, thank God. But one of the things I loved to hear you talk about was your relationship with your friends and how you would bring a different friend for every week of your cancer treatment. And I just like vibe with that so much. I feel like I've been working so hard and haven't had enough connections with my friends lately. And I'm like, if Emme can do it, you know, as busy as you are in that situation. So tell me about your girlfriends and how they've supported you. And because I think that's a huge part of being a guru or game changer is the friends, the people that you hang out with.
Our mushbrucha, it's a good Jewish term, our family, you know, our circle, our ride and dies, our confidants. I have had many lifetimes within this lifetime. So the group and clusters of friends that I've had along the way, maintaining those, stepping in and remembering birthdays with a note or a card or an email or whatever it is. And then trying to show up for the weddings and trying to show up for the funerals and doing your very best while you're busy, and also making sacrifices while you're busy to show up. It's gosh, you know, when I learned that I had cancer, I found out that I was going to have 12 rounds, and I was asked for a divorce in my first. Right at the very beginning, it was important to do that, and I knew that I had to have really important support, and so I reached out to about 14 girlfriends, and I said, "This is the commitment. You would have to take off a Friday and come to me, drive me back home, and you know, I don't know how else to, you know." And so I had 14 girlfriends and my brother. Who stepped in, and and from all different areas. So I have friends from Saudi Arabia. I had a few friends from there. I had a few friends from my cloister area. I had a few friends from high school. I had friends. Yes. And so those moments that we were able to share were really important, really, really important. And as you know, I just, you know, had a big birthday and I invited all different clusters of friends. It was so interesting to see everyone all together because they somehow were like, we're all Emmy's friends, but we're all eclectic. Like I have artist friends, I have attorneys and, you know, CEOs and people who are doing other things, you know, all coming together. And I did sound healing because I had a set of bowls.
I love this.
They're so wonderful. And I knew that many of them would have never experienced sound bowl healing, but I do a lot of retreats and I do this and then I go to spas and stuff. So I brought that to us. And now I'm doing some interesting work with that. But my girlfriends are so, so important. And yes.
Yeah, I just really vibed with that story. But then on the other side, the flip side of what was happening to you, there were photographers and people. Okay, you said there I was going through cancer treatment and photographers are saying how fabulous I look. And I just thought,
oh yeah,
how we are in society. And then you said, I just smiled to myself and said, I'm showing up. And oh my gosh, like I have chills, like how you're able to rise above like something like that, like people like looking at something that's so hard and so terrible, but yet saying, oh, you just look great.
And really short hair. I mean,
it did look really hot. I have to say, it did look good.
Thank you.
I saw some pictures, but still, I mean, that's a difficult thing to handle. And how did you just say, I'm just showing up?
I'm newly single, going through a divorce. I knew that I had to show up, and I had a daughter that I was to support, and I I took that very, very seriously. And I didn't, correct. I might have said to one of the folks that was always showing up at events that I knew after all these years and saying, I'm going through chemo. And then you see the look on their face. And I said, it's all good. It's all good. Just showing up, when you really feel tired or when you're not feeling so energetic, showing up sometimes makes all the difference. It really does.
We hear that a lot actually on this show.
And having a child, there's a motivation right there, no matter what you're going through, right? You have to show up. You have to continue to show up.
You must have had a day though, like where, and I think this is also helpful for our audience to know that you might have had a day where you were like, F this.
Yeah,
I am
over.
staying home. I'm pulling my blankets up at least one day.
Here's the wine.
Oh, no. You know, I don't want to come off as saying that I didn't have days like this. I have days and I do have days. We're speaking today. Like back then, it was not easy. There were days of crying and days of frustration. And I got 10 books of the 4 agreements. So that's a little sign as to what I needed to learn.
Wow.
Be impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions. Do your best. Don't take anything personally. Those are the 4 agreements. And I got 10 books. And I was like, oh, I wonder why this is such a popular book.
So people sent them to you? People sent you those books?
I needed to read them. But today, what I am learning is mindset. Right. Our mindset, not what anything else is going on in this world. Our mindset makes or breaks our day. So when I have something that could kick up some dust around me about what that person said, what this didn't get done, or blah, 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 outside of myself, I can choose to focus on something that is either really frustrating, or I can choose on being courageous and to be appreciative of what this might be teaching me. And I know this for some listeners are going to be like, you must be kidding me.
No.
But it's a mindset difference on the quality of your life. 100%. When you see your life as a glass half full, no matter what is going on, because that is what we're going to be attracting.
Yeah.
It's all about energy. It's all about energy. And when things happen to me where I couldn't have planned it any better, I mean, literally couldn't plan any better, I know it's because I let go of trying to control things. Yeah. Me speaking this way, believe me, with so much that was out of my control as a young person, I went right into my life trying to control this. And now I am learning to just be in control of just where my mind is. Yeah. And waking up in the morning going, body, you're doing such a good job. You're doing such a good job. And the victory, I get to have another day on this earth. And too many people that I've known have passed in the last few years, and like we all have. And I just am like, man, if I'm breathing here, bring it on, and I want to have fun.
Yeah. And I love too what you said. Sorry, Mark. I'm fangirling.
Wonderful.
I loved how you said too about the haters, because I know, like, I'm sure you dealt with it when you were a full figure model, and curvy models today do, and everybody deals with it, and the whole social media thing and all the things. But one of the things you said was, if you aren't a part of this vibe, you know where the door is.
You know where the door is.
And I love that.
Well, let me finish that.
Okay.
So I appreciate you bringing this up, because that's so true. Where our vibe is in the community when we're doing lives or we're doing stuff online, and there's a bunch of people in the rooms, and you see sometimes someone saying, oh, stop saying that. And I go, hey. It's not going to be me asking you to leave the group. It's going to be the community, because we come here in kindness and accepting differences. And please go find your group. There's so many groups out there. We're going to keep the door open, though. We want to keep this door open for you, because if you can't find what you're hanging here and dissecting what people are saying, taking it out of context or making people feel bad, if you can't find that other group and you actually are missing being a part of something new and different and kind, come back in. We want you, but you have to be kind. Yeah. You must be kind, because they're going to say you got to go. Now, if you're not kind, the door will close and you will not be asked back or let back. no one's going to want you. So please know the door is always open. Go to your other groups, please. But if you can't find them, we want you back.
Oh, is that amazing?
I love it.
How much do you love that?
So I want to ask a different question.
Go ahead, Kat.
So obviously you've inspired many people. Obviously you're a guru and a game changer. That's why you're here, right? For many people, but probably the most important person, arguably, is your daughter.
Yeah.
Right. To be the guru and game changer for your daughter. So I'm sure you're familiar with, and maybe you even consulted on the Dove campaign for new beauty, right? In the early 2000s, when it was all about beauty comes in every shape, size, form, style, the whole thing.
All on their own. Thank God. They really, really made such a huge impact. God bless them.
Yeah. And for listeners who may not be familiar with it, you probably saw the ad that was the launch of that. It was maybe 5 or 6 women standing, I guess, in underwear. They were all different body shapes. That was the beginning of it. But what a lot of people don't realize, it went on for like a decade. And one of their...
It was during the time that I was talking out a lot about this stuff. So
it melded perfectly with it.
I'm sure you influenced them somehow.
No, but I'm saying, thank God that a corporation really did research. They worked with overseas corporation research groups, I believe. And it was so... I wish more corporations would have done what they did, but boy, oh boy, Dove was deserving for everything that had come to them because of the work that they did.
And they're way ahead of the curve, sure.
Yeah.
And one of their campaigns, in that campaign, one of their ads was a commercial called Onslaught. I highly recommend you Google Onslaught, put in YouTube, Dove Onslaught. It's a commercial with the face of a little girl. And then the music's playing. It says, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. And then it's an onslaught of beauty ads and slim down and, put this in and this is makeup and get rid of wrinkles. And it goes on and on and on and on. And then it ends with the line, talk to your daughter before the beauty industry does.
Yep.
So your daughter seems insulated from that because of who her mom is.
Right.
So
is
that unique, or what advice do you have for other moms?
Toby, when she walked out of the house, she was in culture.
Right.
She was influenced by other moms and dads in culture, talking to their kids about where their beliefs at home, and either the round table at dinner or lack thereof, or the emotional nutrients being given to her friends or not. So when she left the house, before she would leave the house, she would hear how I was talking to my girlfriends. She would see the kind of girlfriends that I would have, and how we would talk socially without even thinking of any filter, but we were kind to one another. We had a lot of fun, but also with the sleepovers that were over at the house, there were many discussions with these noobling children with their young brains, and we would talk about what they were feeling and thinking about their bodies. I mean, it's a natural developmental phase when you're 10, 11, 12 to look at your body and look at other people's body and say, I am different than that. And where society, and we're very smart psychologists that are working with these companies to have us buy more of certain products, get in right there and kind of wiggle in and start making us, if we're watching mainstream TV shows that have ads, or looking at magazines with great articles, that's where it whittles in and goes, ooh, am I okay? Do I need to look something different in order to be considered beautiful? And is it beautiful at all costs? Can you never be too thin? All these discussions were going on in our home. And even when you go to grandma's house, or you go to other grandma's house, it depends on how they have been brought up and how they feel around food and body. So you have the conversations. To your point, Mark, we need to speak and communicate with our children as early as possible about diversity, about inclusivity, about what fitness is and what fitness isn't, what eating really well is and what it isn't, but not putting shame and guilt into this. And if parents are walking the walk and talking the talk, kids are just going to go right into alignment. And then keep an open ear when you're doing all the driving around for the younger kids. Listen to the conversations, then have sidebars with that, and then get involved with the classroom. Get involved. Don't, get involved. Keep the conversation going. So Toby was bullied. She was a happy kid. She, was tall, and, she had looks to her. And some of the kids that just didn't get those emotional nutrients at home were like, let's see how much we can see if she can tip over. Let's see. Oh, so
Terrible.
yeah, I mean, I think where there's pain,
Yeah.
there's going to be some serious stuff going down. And
How old is she now? She's
21.
21. Yeah, my
She's
daughter's
now
22.
director. She graduated from USC, so she's a director. She's out where everything is dark with, the Screen Actors Guild, and she supports. She goes walking on the lines, and it's a very important strike. Really important.
It really is. So many levels. So what is next for you, Emme? And anything that you want to tell us about that we can bring people to you? Because I mean, you've already done so much, obviously.
She's waiting for this question.
But
best is yet to come, my friends. The best is yet to come.
Yeah.
There you go.
So TV is in the forefront. Clothing again, and I worked with smaller manufacturers, and I really love working with larger manufacturers because it's just there's funding and you can really do what you need to get done. So that would be really exciting. The coaching is, I love my coaching so much. I'm studying again, and I'm second level up in my coaching, and I'm taking health and wellness boards. So the boards are going to be in April, and I'm taking them right now. I'm studying again, dear God.
Oh my God.
And so I love this because I want to really be able to help therapists and doctors that have a plan of action, and they tell their patients and clients to do something after post session with them. And I want to be a part of the seeing the client into their success, and working with them doing that. So that's really like a passion project that I do.
What type of coach? What's
transformational?
A transformational.
So
coach.
It's either
don't tempt me,
personal
Emme.
transformation with body image and self-esteem. That's been very interesting with men and women, mostly women, but there are some men that want to have a recalibration on where they're at with that thinking. Transformation with taking a leap from where someone is professionally and going into something entrepreneurially. Transformation can be just maybe a shift in philosophy or a way of living. So it's very rich.
I love it. Yes. So how can people find you? And do you have more questions to ask too? But I definitely want to get this out.
I have an interesting question.
Got one. Okay.
So,
and then I haven't.
when you're gone.
Oh yeah.
When you're gone, it's like a legacy type question.
Yeah.
And people are talking about you. They say something along the lines of, you know what, Emme, finish that sentence.
Certainly loved her body. No.
It could be that simple. I love it.
And the legacy project that I started with the True Beauty Foundation is, we do Play, Sweat, Win. That's a hashtag. That's a program that we have. We have 5 Oceanic Breaths to Calm, which is another program that I want to get into schools, and that's another thing. And then Fashion Without Limits is also within colleges that have design schools within them. So we have inclusive beauty or inclusive fashion being taught, truly grading, design, fabrication, all that, so that it's just really easy and simple when they go into mainstream business, that they go, well, why don't you have inclusive sizes here? If we have 100 million women above a size 14, you'd think you'd want to have your designers, and QVC does a very good job at that, and HSN and all that. Yeah. So it's really talking to that. So the legacy work, hopefully with the foundation, will just continue to live on. But I think the body appreciation, that is how people remember me, that I am a body appreciation advocate, to appreciate Stop being, this is your best friend. This takes your soul. This allows us to have this conversation on this podcast. Without my body, I would have this beautiful, sparkling soul just being like,
You would. It would be very sparkly.
you break it down that way. We've got to take care of her. I'm a girl, her. Take care of this thing that allows me to leap and to hug and to feel joy. And yes, the depths of pain, and to feel, to enjoy the food that I make and others that make before me, and to travel around the world, to get a massage. So to be a body appreciation advocate is pretty much sums up the why I'm here.
Yeah. Take care of your body, appreciate your body. And people are being born right now that will need to hear that message. It's a generational message.
That's
over
power
and
right
over
there.
again. Yeah.
So website?
Yeah.
Sure. Website,
Please,
emmestyle.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the truebeautyfoundation.org. Please, we love people supporting what we do. That helps us keep the lights on for that. And on Instagram, the official Emme. Go ahead and follow.
I'm already there.
See what's
I'm already
going
following
on.
you.
Great. And that's how you can get a hold of me.
Aww.
Awesome. Awesome.
You don't talk to any of those other models from the 90s, do you?
I do.
Like
I do.
Naomi Campbell and all those guys. Are they cool?
I was on a plane, and Naomi had like a cart thing for her mom, and I was coming out and I looked at her. She doesn't want to ride. I go, yeah, thank you.
Oh my God.
But it was too funny. She's so beautiful with not a stitch. And when I was working with Revlon, Halle Berry and Cindy Crawford were all working with Revlon at the same time. And when we're all in dressing rooms, I would go over to Halle Berry's dressing room and go, let's go look at Cindy.
Oh my God. You would go look at Cindy?
Go over and there's Cindy Crawford, not a stitch, right? Not a stitch.
God, she's still just so exquisite.
Just gorgeous. That's the same as Christy Brinkley, though. I do have to say, Christy Brinkley, not a stitch, and she
70 something.
We can't thank you enough. This has been awesome.
Wonderful talking to you. I cannot tell you. It's made my week, probably.
Really? Yeah.
Life.
Well, we have to meet each other in person. That's going to be great.
Yes,
I hope
please.
that will happen.
That'll
Mark.
be
You
the
have to
next
make
time.
that happen.
I know.
Let's
I'm
go,
on
Mark.
it. I'm working
Gotta
on
get
it.
on that.
We're going to know more than you know. Okay. Well,
Emme,
thank you so much, Emme. I really appreciate it. It's been a great
thank you.
time. It's been
Thank you for the honor. I
inspirational. It's
appreciate
been all those
talking
things
to
that you are.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
the
so
love.
much.
Thank you.
Be well.
Thank you for everything over the years.
Of course.
Thank
Let's
you.
have more fun.
Okay.
Awesome.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.